The 455th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Bet365. Bet365 is offering new users a $1,000 risk-free bet. Sign up today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bet365. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com and use promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month. Start making smarter bets today.
Howdy ho, degenerinos. Welcome to episode 455 of the MMA Gambling Podcast and the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Going out to my friend and Gumby's friend, our online friend, Double Nichols. He requested it because 455, get it, 4 Double Nichols. Anyhow, this goes out to you, Double Nichols. Now you can stop bugging me. You got an episode named after you. If you would like an episode dedicated after you, don't ask. You have to go online and compliment us, or send Gumby a free hat, or send me free stuff, and then an episode can be yours. Thanks for coming to today's show. And when your host, Jeff Chalks Fox, we have no UFC this week because the Americans are doing their Thanksgiving a month too late as per usual. So we're going to have to stick with the regional scene. Not a problem because we have some good events to cover this week, starting with today's episode, Cage Wars 164, which has 3 title fights on the top of the card coming to us from Newcastle, England. So we're going to break down that. I can't do it alone because I don't know half these people. I'll obviously have to have my regional MMA picking star riding shotgun. That would be Daniel Gumby Vreeland, the man with the bacon on his hat.
With the bacon on his hat and in his wallet. Oh, look at that.
Oh, nice. That's going to be a title of the episode.
Bacon on the hat and in the wallet. Quick recap of last week. We went 4-1 in Bellator. We hit all but the very wacky main event with Jason Jackson dominating and knocking out Yaroslav Amosov, which was, I think, pretty unlikely outcome. So I don't feel too bad about missing that one. But because it was kind of a chalkier card, or at least it was a chalkier card until it got to fight time. If you waited until fight time, Raufeon Stots wound up being an underdog who I had in that one. I did not expect the numbers to get better and better on him in a rematch against Danny Sabatello, who he had already beaten. I thought the money would for sure come in on Stots. But anyway, if you had used the numbers that we talked about on last Monday's show, you 4-1, up about a half a unit due to the chalkiness of everything, and brings us up to about plus 13 units on the year.
Fantastic. More importantly, let's talk about your boy Chet Holmgren on Saturday, Gumby. 36 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks.
He's incredible. I tell you all the time when we're talking about underdog fantasy, which we will a little bit later on, and you're prodding me for a pick, take somebody who graduated from Gonzaga, find a number you like, and play the higher than.
Yep. It's almost like Golden State don't have any big men that can handle anyone. That could have helped Holmgren too. But
the most important part was the 3-pointer at the buzzer too to send it to OT. That was damn impressive. I don't know why they didn't foul him, but still a damn impressive 3-pointer.
Yes, we know about every sport on the show. We write about every sport. SportsGamblingPodcast.com. Gumby and I are thick into our NBA writing along with our MMA writing, and then once baseball season rolls around, we'll be doing our baseball writing. We know about it all. And sometimes we give you winning picks. Gumby actually gives you first field goal winning picks constantly, which is might seem like a silly thing, but it's a profitable thing for Gumby right now because he has a system, ladies and gentlemen. Everyone has a system. Gumby has a system.
Come join the system.
His system is winning. It's a winning system. All right, Cage Wars. This seems to be a really good card. At least it's got 3 title fights on it, which you don't get on too many fight cards. Is this a really good card, Gumby?
Yeah, it's a good one. I mean, I think, usually when we're talking about Cage Warriors champs, there's a clear, this guy's going to the UFC sort of deal. And I think there are a couple of fights here where I don't know that that's true. Even the guy who I might pick to win, I might be I don't see it. Too many holes or whatnot. But, as far as like competitive matchups, interesting prospects, all that kind of thing. You know, a lot of fights, right? It's like an 18 fight card or something like that. It's a good Cage Warriors card. Yeah.
Yep. We're going to cover 5 fights, obviously the 3 title fights, and then Gumby picked a couple others that he is interested in. We don't really have the fight card order or anything, so we could be jumping all around the place. Of the fights we're not covering, is there anyone else or any other fights that you're interested in or interested in seeing what the lines will be once the lines drop for these fights?
Well, you told me right before we went to start recording that that our guy Darren Stewart is fighting this weekend, which, by the way, I did not already know, mostly because I'm not on the Darren Stewart kick. I have no idea who he's fighting, but I always like looking to see who he's fighting and what the number is so that I can look to fade him, because I'm expecting his luck to run out at some point in time. Yeah, apart from that, with the ones who I don't know, I do think Orlando Prinz is kind of an interesting guy because he's got good submissions. So if he comes in as a dog, I might be kind of interested in poking around there. Dylan Hazen is fighting Amir Malikpour, who was supposed to fight 2 weeks ago, and he got pulled to be in this matchup. I really like Hazen. I think if that number comes in anywhere south of 200, he might be interesting to throw in a parlay or even play straight up. But apart from that, there's nobody who I'm like real passionate about on the prelims. So maybe a fade of Stewart, maybe Prinz if the number's nice, maybe Hazen if he doesn't get to be too big of a favorite.
Fade of Stewart. Actually, let's jump back to Bellator. Do you think that was it, Gumby? Was that the last we're going to see of Bellator last night or this past weekend?
Yeah.
It doesn't seem that way.
At least in its current iteration. Because if you watch the broadcast, which I didn't, but you know, a couple of friends of mine did and said, "Hey, did you see this? Did you see that?" But the end of the broadcast, apparently the sign off from the desk, everybody was talking about like their favorite moments of the history of Bellator. Not like their favorite moments from this past year, not their favorite moments from this past card, not their favorite moments of Jason Jackson or the most incredible, you know, comebacks or, you know, most incredible underdogs. They were like, basically, like, what did you like about Bellator? And like, why would you be talking like that if its current iteration was not going away, or you weren't worried about them like selling and just like completely revamping their desk with you not there? So like, I think they're either in the way of being drastically changed by a brand new ownership or completely going away.
What do you think? What do you put your money on? Which one is it?
If I felt like I had to pick, gun to my head, I think most likely what's going to happen is they are going to. It seems like they're going to sell to somebody. You know, PFL seems to be the front runner that they're talking about there. If I had to guess, PFL will probably buy them and like run both of them concurrently for like, I mean, like the UFC did with WEC, just until it's time to fully fold them. Yeah. I mean, PFL could also just contracts. They're buying contracts, and PFL could just buy them in their contracts, and you know, possibly work them into the ESPN deal, and that can be their. You know, I know PFL has talked about doing a super fight series, right? And it's just never gotten off the ground. PFL super fight could be Bellator. You know what I mean? Like they could just run their PFL seasons, which they're clearly really into doing. They're adding the European one. I heard they're trying to add an Asian one and an African one. And like they can continue to run all of their like fun season formats, and their super fight ones can just be Bellator. And so like that seems like the most likely possibility to me. However, if they do fold, a couple of the people who fought this past weekend would certainly be interesting additions to the UFC. You know, I would love to see Patchy Mix. Patchy Mix in the UFC. Give me Patchy Mix in the UFC yesterday. You know, that's a. I mean, like I said it when we were breaking down the fights last Monday. He's got a lot of the same stuff that we love about Aljamain Sterling, and it's in the division with Aljamain Sterling. Only maybe his hands are better. You know, and I don't think he's the same level grappler. I think, you know, Aljo might be a little bit better on the mat, but like, you know, Patchy might pose different problems for different people. And I'd love to see it. You know, like I'd instantly love to see him against a lot of the top bantamweights.
And his girlfriend Tatiana Suarez is already here, so come on over, Patchy Mix. We will gladly accept you. All right, That's enough Bellator talk. Actually, we'll have more PFL talk this coming week. Wednesday and Thursday are going to be PFL episodes this week. All right, before we jump into Cage Warriors fully, we're going to tell you about Bet365. If we had numbers for this event, we would give it to you from Bet365 because we are brought to you by them at Bet365. Bet365 is the world's favorite sportsbook, trusted by over 88 million players worldwide. Props, sides, totals, live betting, Bet365 has you covered. If you like boosts, you're going to love Bet365, like a 30% profit boost on your NFL same game parlay. Plus, they even have an early payout offer if your team goes up 17 points. Sign up today and choose from 2 bonus offers, either a $1,000 no sweat bet or bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets. Just head to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bet365. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com, bet365, or even easier, use the sign up link in our show bio. Do you have a pick? Maybe Monday? You already did a Monday Night Football pick for us, didn't you?
I did Monday Night Football, but so this one we'll go to the world of we'll go to the world of college basketball. I'll say
really?
take Gonzaga's money line against Purdue today. Since this is coming out on Monday, it's number 2 versus number 11, and number 11 is coming in looking dangerous. So yeah, give me Gonzaga's money line.
But number 2 has a big Canadian roaming the center for them, though.
Is Zach Edey Canadian?
He is.
Come on, really?
Isn't it? Yeah,
I did not know that. Yeah, you guys just keep finding big goons up there.
We do. All right, so there's your pick. Problem gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, we're gonna give you some winning picks now for Cage Warriors 164. Or Gumby will. I'll set them up. Gumby will hit it out of the park as per usual. All right, Cage Warriors 164 is subtitled Stanton versus Bellandi and is going down Saturday, the 25th. So it's coming Saturday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. And is going down, is emanating from the Virtue Motors Arena in Newcastle, England. 18 fights. We're going to give you the 5 that Gumby says we should give you. So he knows which fights are the best fights or which ones he has a good take on. So hopefully he has a good take. We're going to start with a bantamweight fight, 3 5-minute rounds. Aiden Stephen. It's probably Stephen. He's from Scotland, I believe, versus Daan. Is it Daan or not?
It is Daan. Yep.
Daan Duijs. You said it last episode.
Yeah, that's right.
Duijs, and he's from the Netherlands. So there you go. All right, bantamweights. Duijs, we'll tell you about first. 9-2, 3 knockouts, 6 submissions. So he's finished everyone. He has been submitted once. He's 2-1 in Cage Warriors, 3-1 over his last 4. He won his last fight via TKO. Used to fight up at featherweight. Stephen or Stefan, which one is it, Gumby?
I think it's Stephen.
Stephen, the phenomenal. That's one thing we can't argue with the pronunciation on. He's 9-4, 2 knockouts, 3 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted twice. 5-3 in Cage Warriors. We got ourselves a pattern here. Loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. So that's what? 6 fights. He's never won 2 or lost 2 in a row. He did win his last fight. That was back in December of 2021. He's not lost since March of 2021. Used to fight at featherweight and lightweight. No lines on this. So Gummy's going to give you a line. He's going to tell you who to pick.
So yeah, I am going to say Duijs is going to come in here as a pretty big favorite. Let's say -230. You get like plus 195 on the return on Steven. I think, and I'm going to go with Duijs here. I'm first of all, you mentioned the layoff for Steven. That's obviously a huge issue, right? 2 years out of the cage, no fights. He was scheduled for 1 or 2 in there, and I think his opponent pulled out of both of them. So it's like not even like it's his doing, but like, ring rust nevertheless is real despite what Dominic Cruz tells you. I also think Daan Duijs is just kind of got you like the Dominic Cruz joke. I appreciate that.
Of course.
And I also just love Daan Duijs's style against Steven here, because Steven is a guy who loves jiu-jitsu. He loves to be on the mat to the point where if somebody shoots a double on him, he does look like he's trying to stop it for about half a second. And then he's on his back and he doesn't look bummed about it. And Duijs is a bulldozer. He's one of those guys who gets in on a double and just runs as hard as he can until you're down. And he's got great top pressure. I know he had that knockout with the big overhand right last time in his last fight. But similar to like Mostabek Orobai, like that doesn't make him a knockout artist. Like he just got a knockout and he's a grappler. He loves arm triangles. He loves top game. He loves power guillotines. Like, that's his shit. So, like, if Aiden Stephen is a guy who just gives up takedowns, this is not the guy you want to be underneath. A guy who loves to grapple, is stronger than you, and is smart defensively. So, I think the path to victory here is very simple for Duijs. And anything under -250 here is definitely a steal.
All right, there you go. He's telling you the number. He's telling you the winner. He is set here. And yeah, as for ring rust, at least in the UFC, since I've tracked it for about 3 years, fighters who have been out of the cage for a year or more, 46% is the amount of times they win. So it seems to be a thing, not a massive thing, but it's definitely more than what Dominic, our friend Dominic, would let you think. All right, we're moving on. We're moving up the card, perhaps, and up the weight class for sure. This is in middleweights, 3 5-minute rounds. Chris Douglas from the UK versus, I think Gumby just picked this because he wants me to try to say the name, Naglis Kanisauskas. Naglis Kanisauskas. I had it. Kanisauskas, obviously, from Lithuania. All right. I'm going to tell you about Kanisauskas first. I don't know why I'm having trouble. Well, I know why. It's a hard name to say. His nickname, not hard to say. Do you know his nickname, Gumby?
I don't.
The Smiling Boy.
The Smiling Boy.
The Smiling Boy. And he's smiling in his picture on Tapology, so it tells no lies, that nickname. The Smiling Boy is 6-3, 1 knockout, 5 submissions. So he's finished everyone. It makes you smile just saying it. He's never been finished in any fight. 1-2 in Cage Warriors. That doesn't make you smile quite as much. Loss, win, loss over his last 5 fights. 15 years younger than Douglas. That's the big thing right there. So he is just a boy. Douglas with 2 S's at the end. The Body is the nickname. 6-0, 1 knockout, 4 submissions. This is his Cage Warriors debut. He's not fought since October of 2015. Maybe Gumby has some info on this for us. 2010 was his, oh, great. 2010 was his pro MMA debut. He's got an inch of height. I'll see if the intern can find anything out about Chris Douglas. Maybe he was in witness protection or something. Now he's out. I don't know. Gumby, go ahead.
I don't know either, but I will tell you part of the reason why I picked this one and I wanted to talk about it is because the people who I know in the industry who have some insight onto what the lines are going to look like keep telling me Chris Douglas might come in here as a favorite or a pickup. And when I looked at this fight originally, I almost didn't want to talk about it because I thought it was so brutally obvious that Kanisauskas was going to win this fight. I mean, like 8 years away is already a red flag enough to be like, why would you install a favorite who's been away for that long? But in addition to that, like I went back and I watched his last fight. It's not good. Like he throws like weird arm punches. He eats 1-2s like without moving his head at all. He's just there to be punched constantly. He seemed to have some grappling, but like really struggled to take down a guy who was like 7-7 on the regional scene in England. And like if you look at Kanisauskas has fought some like really good dudes. Like Kanisauskas, I mean his last loss is to the guy fighting for the title in the main event, Dario Bellandi, and he's fought Will Curie, who looked really good this past weekend for Cage Warriors. So, like, he's fought some really legit guys. And when you watch him, you know, he's got really good pressure. He's bouncy on his feet. He whips out kicks, particularly to the body and the head, really well. Obviously, in the Bellandi fight, the thing that really cost him was the fact that he tired quickly, particularly in grappling exchanges. But I don't think he has to worry about that here. So, again, this one is one I kind of picked because I'm like, if the lines are what people are telling me they're going to be, Kanisauskas is one of the most tremendous regional values I've ever seen. I'm going to officially say pick him because I thought Kanisauskas should be a big favorite, and I got people telling me on the other side, and that seems to be what happens when those two things happen. But if he posts as an underdog, get in on him as an underdog.
All right, there you go. Gumby's giving you inside scoops. All right, these next 2 fights are both listed as co-main events. They're both for the gold, so perhaps that's why they're both listed as co-main events. There can only be one co-main event in my eyes, though. We'll start with the first one here for the Cage Warriors Light Heavyweight Championship. Andy Clamp versus Matthew Byfield. Both these guys are from England. 5 5-minute rounds at 205 pounds. Byfield, Farda is the nickname. Do you know anything about that? I don't.
Nope.
Nope is the answer. 6-1 with 1 no contest for Byfield. 4 knockouts, 2 submissions. So he's finished everyone. He himself has never been finished. 3-0 with 1 no contest in Cage Warriors. He's won 3 straight fights. He's not lost a fight since October of 2021. 5 years younger than Clamp. 2 inches taller than him. Clamp the Vice is the nickname. That's a good nickname for him with the last name. He's got 12-2, 7 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted once. So he's been finished in both his losses. And he's only gone to the distance once. By my math, 1-1 in Cage Warriors, 4-1 over his last 5, including winning his last fight via submission. Was a regional champion, and 1-1 as a pro grappler. So they're fighting for the light heavyweight title. Neither of them have the light heavyweight championship, yet it's not listed as vacant either. Do you have any idea what's going on here?
I don't know why it's not listed as vacant. Modestus Bukauskas vacated it. So I don't know what the point is. It's not saying it's vacant. It's vacant. I think Byfield is going to come in here as the favorite. I don't think it's going to be a big line here, like negative 145 to plus 125 for Clamp. And I'm going to go with a slight underdog here. I think Clamp's going to come in as the underdog. I think he makes a lot of sense. You mentioned the name is really fitting because Vice and Clamp, and yeah, that's clever. It's also really fitting for his fight style. He's awful with his hands. He's not a good striker at all. But when he gets you on the ground, he gets a hold of you. He doesn't let go. And that's the really impressive thing about Clamp is that while he's flailing around on the feet and looking like he kind of doesn't know what he's doing, you're like, oh man, this is going to be bad. Like he's not going to win this fight by any means. And he's not hiding the fact that he wants to wrestle you. Sometimes he will just he'll feint 7 takedown attempts and then shoot from 10 feet away. But once he does get a hold of people, he chains it together really nicely. He's great on top. He's got excellent control. He's one of those people who controls the hips really well. He elevates the legs when people go to stand up. He just doesn't let you get back up. And so I love that about him. And I think that gives him hope against just about anybody, particularly somebody who's a 6'6" striker. I think it's going to be easy to get in on his legs. Byfield is very tall, very lanky, and unlike a lot of the guys who I think might give Clamp trouble with the striking at 6'6", Byfield just doesn't put out any volume. He's a very methodical, slow kind of striker. Maybe on the bright side for him, that means he probably won't overextend himself and get a really easy takedown. But also it's just going to let Clamp feel comfortable enough on the feet. Because Clamp doesn't need you to make a mistake to get a takedown. He just needs you to be there. Because he's gonna get a hold of your foot, and he's gonna turn that into getting a hold of your knee, and then he's gonna have your hips, and he's gonna have you up against the cage. He's gonna wear you out. And I think that's the path to victory here against Byfield. I think Byfield just doesn't throw enough to threaten Clamp. So give me Clamp, most likely a little bit of an underdog.
All right, that's what you like to hear. Some underdog money. What did you predict it at? 125? You said about?
Yeah, plus 125 probably. He won't be a huge dog. I mean, if he is, great. And if any books out there happen to be offering props on Cage Warriors, I know sometimes it's really hit or miss with Cage Warriors, but if anybody's offering props, like Clamp by sub is probably a way you could juice it up a little bit more, because this ain't going the distance, and I don't think he's getting a knockout.
All right, there you go. All right, our last ad reads here. Our sponsor reads, and then we will finish off Cage Warriors for you. What do we have to tell you about here? Underdog Fantasy, Gumby, is that what it's going to say on my screen right now? It does say Underdog Fantasy. Our lovely people at Underdog Fantasy. Check sportsgamblingpodcast.com every day. Either Gumby or myself will have an Underdog Fantasy NBA article for you, with hopefully some winning plays in there. Underdog Fantasy has a way to play alongside your favorite fantasy players all season long: NFL, NBA, NHL, college basketball, and college football, and MMA. Obviously, look, if you're on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, you will see MMA right there in front of you. Simply pick higher or lower on your favorite players' fantasy stats and cash in. Gumby, do you have a play?
Yeah, Underdog Fantasy, one of the really cool things about that app is that they've been giving higher or lowers in their pick'em for PFL, pretty much all of PFL season this year. So, we've got Olivier Aubin-Mercier fighting Clay Collard come Friday. We'll be talking about that one on Thursday's show. And I think for sure you go with Olivier Aubin-Mercier's higher than on his takedowns. They don't have the number posted yet, but I'm sure he's getting more than they're threatening him with. So higher than for Olivier Aubin-Mercier takedowns.
It's Mercier, but thank you. That's good. Thank you for the pick. Watch along, and you can watch along the telecast and listen to them say his name properly. Make your picks and maybe make a little cash over our Underdog's mobile app or website, underdogfantasy.com, when you sign up with the promo code SGPN. Underdog will double your first deposit of up to $100. Is Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN. And finally, last but not least, of course, Hall of Fame bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Entering parlay idea into Hall of Fame bets revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot, which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame bets. Okay, we've done the research. Gumby's going to help you win. That's the way. That's the teamwork that we do here on the regional shows. This is for the vacant. They say vacant this time. Cage Warriors Bantamweight Championship. Why is it vacant, Gumby?
Cal Lobren vacated this one.
Who did? Sorry, you cut out on me.
Cal Lobren. Remember the Irish fellow who got signed to fight in Australia? Yes.
Okay. Excellent. This is the co-main event, perhaps. Liam Gittins versus Reece McEwan. We got England versus Scotland. Or is that Ireland? No, it's Scotland. Is Reece McEwan from Scotland? Yes, Scotland. Scottish. I should know my heritage. All right, let's break her down with McEwan first. 7-1, 2 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's been submitted 1 time, so he's gone the distance once by my math. 4-0 in Cage Warriors. That's part of a 4-fight winning streak. He's won 2 straight via finish. Inch taller than Gittins. Gittins Nightmare is the nickname. 11-4, 7 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's been knocked out twice. 8-4 in Cage Warriors. He's also won 4 straight fights. Both these guys are definitely earned themselves this vacant title shot here. He's won 3 straight via finish, 1 better than McEwan. Used to fight up and down a weight class, so flyweight and featherweight, and he's 2 years younger than McEwan. All right, break her down.
I'm going to say McEwan is a pretty large favorite here, probably negative 250, because while I like Gittins, Gittins has nice power, and he's a pretty sharp striker. He switches stances really well. He's one of those guys who throws a right hand and then is standing in a left-handed stance and then throws a left hand and is in a right-handed stance. He's a fun kind of striker like that. I just don't think he can hang with the grappling of McEwan. And I said it kind of in the clamp fight. I'm riding with the grapplers here. I think McEwan is going to get him down once, and he's going to look so good on the mat. McEwan's one of those guys who, when he grapples, he doesn't even need to be on top to be in charge. I've seen fights of his where he's been taken down and he's just swept really well and wound up on top, kind of like Chase Hooper this past weekend. It doesn't really matter how the grappling started; it's ending with him in a good position. And I think he's so much better of a grappler than Liam Gittins. I think the books are going to show that. And while I'm sitting here talking about it, it's a striker grappler matchup, McEwan can hold his own on the feet too. I don't think he's got the power Gittins does, but he can hold his own on the feet too. So yeah, I'm going to take Reece McEwan. I'm going to say, like I said, pretty large favorite here.
Okay, we don't like to see you taking large favorites, but hey, you got to pick who's going to win.
I did it in Bellator. It was fun in Bellator.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Everything's fine in Bellator, right?
Yeah,
everything's just perfect in Bellator right now. All right, let's go to our main event. No co-main event here. This is the official main event for the Cage Warriors Middleweight Championship. Mick Stanton from England versus Dario Bellandi from Italy, and this is 5-minute rounds at 100. I say middleweight, right? Yes, 185 pounds. We're gonna tell you about the challenger first. Bellandi, he's a Neanderthal. Dan, I didn't know we allowed Neanderthals in MMA, but apparently we do. He's a Neanderthal. 6-1, 3 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's never been finished in any fight. 4-1 in Cage Warriors. He's won 4 straight fights to get himself into this title shot. He's not lost since December 2020. 7 years younger than Stanton, 4 inches taller. The Hoyton Hammer is Stanton. He's 12-7, 5 knockouts, 1 submission. He's been knocked out once, submitted 4 times. 9-5 in Cage Warriors, and his current champ has successfully defended his title once so far. He's won 3 straight fights and 6 of 7. He won his last fight via TKO. He went 0-1 in PFL. He was a regional champion. He's fought at welterweight, and he's 2-1 as a pro grappler. Break her down.
So I'm going to say Bellandi, big favorite here, negative 200 probably to Mick Stanton.
The challenger is the favorite?
Yeah, no, Mick Stanton's 12-7.
Yeah, no.
and like has looked really, like even in his last win, looked really bad. Like he got pieced up nonstop for like the first 3 minutes of that last fight, and he still pulled off the first round finish. So I'm gonna say, you know, you're gonna get like plus 175 on the return on Mick Stanton, and I know I heard people in the Discord already talking about getting jacked up about fading Mick Stanton. I'm actually gonna pick him here. I know he's gonna be a big dog. If he's not a big dog, don't pick him. Never pay favorite money for Mick Stanton. But like I think he's gonna be a big underdog here, and I like him because Bellandi wants to grapple. He actually looks pretty limited on the feet. When you look at him, it looks like he's got like a jab overhand, and that's pretty much all he's got. He looks hittable, and being hittable is pretty much the worst thing that can happen when you're fighting Mick Stanton, is that like Mick Stanton, when he hits you, you go to sleep. And that's all there is to say about it, because he hits so freaking hard. So like the fact that he's hittable is kind of worrisome. Also, like I know he's got a huge grappling advantage here, but he really struggled with the grappling early in the fight. Like I kind of think his grappling plays up better as being like a cardio monster. Like the technique of it doesn't seem to threaten people in the first and like the early parts of the second round. And then once he's kind of like worn them down with like 700 attempts, then it starts to get going. That's what happened in his last fight. He actually beat Naglis Kanisauskas in his last fight, the aforementioned Naglis Kanisauskas.
Yep.
And like and got beat up in the first round. The fight went to decision. He got beat up in the first round, and he out-grappled them in the second and the third. And so, like, I kind of think that that's his MO, is that, like, he's kind of going to be the type of person who needs him to burn out. And I don't know that he's going to get that opportunity here. Like, if Stanton hangs with him on the feet in the first round, I don't know that there will be a second round for him to grab momentum. If there is, you know, like, the late rounds look great for Bellandi. Like, I bet you if this makes it to a third or a fourth or a fifth round, like, Bellandi's sub comes real into play. Again, like I said earlier, I don't know which books offer Cage Warriors props, but if this one does, Bellandi in the over is probably a decent play, or Mick Stanton in the under. But I also just love the Mick Stanton money line here, so I'm going to say fairly sizable underdog, and I'm going to say Mick Stanton.
All right, and what was the number you were hoping for?
I said plus 175.
Okay. All right, very, very good. There you go. All the winning picks. He gave you some dogs. He gave you plays to make if you want to take the other side. We covered it all. Thank you, Mr. Gumby. Let's give you a recap here before we bid you farewell. He's got Stanton. He has got McEwan. He has got Clamp. He has got Kanisauskas. And he's got Duijs. All right, that's enough. That's enough of me. Thanks for listening, and make sure you get in the Discord and watch Cage Warriors with us. The sickos in there watch everything. Gumby, they're watching Octagon on the weekend. They watch.
I think we got to start doing some Octagon breakdowns. They've got a couple events coming up in December. One at the end of the year when we're desperately trying to fill shows, so probably then. But also, like, their betting odds come out really early. And they seem to be getting huge viewership. So maybe Octagon is going to be the new hotbed when Bellator leaves.
Yep, we shall see. Yes, promoters, if you want to be covered on our show, book some stuff when the UFC goes dark for the 3 weeks of the end of the year, and you would definitely get our interest. So Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord, Twitter, SGPN MMA. Gumby runs that for us very well. He's at Gumby Vreeland. I'm at Jeff Fox Writer on there. And on the Instagram, Gumby's got Top Turtle MMA podcast. You interview a couple people we just spoke of this week. Tell the good people here who you interview.
Yeah, I talked with Dan Duijs before his fight with Aiden Steven, and I also talked to Orlando Prince, who we mentioned at the top of the episode. There
you go. Listen to the Top Turtle MMA podcast. Get in my Substack, moneymma.substack.com. Enter my weekly UFC Pick'em contest there for free. Read all my stuff, my performance rankings. I got, what else did I do on there? Fight breakdowns, DraftKings picks, lots of fun stuff. So get it on there, check it out. And then, of course, everything in the sports gambling world is at sportsgamblingpodcast.com and sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon to help us crush corporate gambling. We'll be back with a PFL episode up next. Gumby, go ahead.
I'm Danny Gumby Vreeland. He's the smiling boy, Jeff Fox. and we will see you on Wednesday.